Welcome to the Kapnick Brazilian garden. This garden is a tribute to Brazil and to two of its great treasures, the flora of Brazil, as well as Roberto Burle Marx, the noted landscape architect of the 20th century. This garden was actually designed by Raymond Jungels, who was a student of Burle Marx, and is really a tribute to him by Raymond. It's designed in the iconic Roberto Burle Marx style, and one of the most important elements of this garden, you can see behind me, is actually a Burle Marx mosaic wall. He created this in the early 80s, and Raymond was able to source it and secure it. And then when he had this commission to design the garden, he actually made this the focal point of the Kapnick Brazilian garden. Now, let's take a walk around the garden and see all of its beautiful botanical treasures. The Kapnick Brazilian garden is a treasure trove of amazing plants. That tree we're just looking at is actually called the buttercup tree, and it's endemic to Brazil. One of the things that's been exciting about this garden for me is seeing it grow in over the last 4 years. What started out as a kind of a sunny space is now gradually filling in with the canopy overhead. And one of the things that's allowed us to do is grow a lot of beautiful shade-loving plants. And as we come down to this part of the pathway, you'll see we look over here, there's beautiful philodendrons and anthuriums and calophates and begonias, all sorts of plants that we couldn't grow previously, but now we can because we got this wonderful canopy in this garden. One of my favorite plants in here is actually one that you'll all be familiar with. This garden right here, or this plant right here, it's actually a Dieffenbachia. And I'm sure almost everyone has had one of those at some point in their gardens. And if we pan over to the other side of the pathway here, you'll see, again, some beautiful calophates. Wonderful leaf patterns, and we're really excited about them. Now, from here, we're going to go down to this little overlook in front of the water, this little lake we have at the bottom of Brazil. And this lake is wonderful in the summertime because it's filled with Victoria amazonicas, or Amazon lilies. These lilies can have leaves that are up to 6 or 7 feet in diameter, and actually literally can float little kids. Now, we're going to take a shot of one of my favorite trees of all time. This is actually, if you see those flowers up there, this is a Brazilian water chestnut. One of the things that's exciting is being able to grow these giant philodendrons. There's such a powerful look in the landscape. And until we had the shade in here, we really couldn't grow these very effectively. But they make a beautiful architectural statement here in the garden. Now, we have some other pretty magnificent plants for you to see in the Brazilian garden as well. So let's take a walk up here. One of the things that's been a lot of fun for us is actually breeding plants in our collections. And in front of me, I have a plant that we just planted 2.5 years ago from seed. It's actually a cross of silk floss trees, and it's hard to believe that a tree can grow probably 25 feet in that period of time and then produce these incredible thorns. One of the things I get excited about when I look at trees like this is that grow this quickly is the potential they have commercially for using them to create cellulose for paper or possibly as a source for fuels in the future. So there's a lot of different things going on here at the Botanical Garden besides just a pretty face. One of the things that Burle Marx was noted for was his use of Bromelias in the garden. These were pretty much unheard of Brazilian plants until Burle Marx took them and started to create gardens with them. And here you can see a sweep of different Bromeliads. This is an Alcantaria odorata. And over here we actually have another Bromelia that most people aren't familiar with, which is actually a pineapple plant with the striping on the leaves there. These plants do incredibly well in South Florida. They give us a great diversity. We can plant some of them up in trees. We have some of them on the ground. And they really are striking plants that have very few natural predators, very few bugs or diseases that affect them. And we're really trying to promote their use in the gardens of South Florida. Now, we're coming up to a beautiful viewpoint here. This is the Magrib family Plaza. And if you can take a look down through this way, you'll see it has this wonderful sort of amoeba form. Very modernistic, very much a Burle Marx kind of form. And these pools are filled with water lilies during the season. And we're going to wander down here a little bit and take a look at the view that we have from up here in the Magrib family Plaza. The Magrib family Plaza here at the top of the Kapnick Brazilian garden is a wonderful place to look at our construction. We're actually building a brand new visitor center called the Chhabria Visitor Center. And it's going to have wonderful amenities for people, from restrooms to retail to food services, and a wonderful auditorium for doing lectures and performances. So that is going to open on October 23rd of 2014. And when that opens, you'll have even a better view of the Brazilian garden. Now I'd like to show you the centerpiece of this wonderful Kapnick Brazilian garden. It's the Burle Marx mosaic wall, and you can see when we look at this wall how many wonderful colors are in it. And one of the things that was brilliant about Raymond Jungla's design of the Brazilian garden was how he incorporated these colors throughout the garden to create this kind of harmonious mix of colors that complement this Burle Marx mosaic wall. We're heading towards one of my favorite trees. We're going to look in front of us here to this, what we call the mussel tree. And it's filled with the most strange and unusual fruit. And these look a little bit like ears if you look up close to them. And of course you have to be a little careful when you're handling this because it's got lots and lots of thorns as well. They almost look like elephant ears to me. And of course we call this the mussel tree because the bark itself looks so taut and tight, just like mussels. It's really a magnificent tree. Kind of, again, a sort of an iconic tree for the Brazilian garden. You won't see these very often around South Florida. Now, as we walk down through the garden, we're going to see a tree I'm particularly fond of, and this is a parent of that tree that we saw before that grows really quickly. It's this tree right in front of me here. It's called the dancing tree. There's a great history behind this tree. These seeds were actually imported by Burle Marx from Brazil and brought to Raymond Jungla, the designer of this garden. And Raymond was able to propagate these seeds and actually grow this tree, which is an original tree from Burle Marx seeds. So we're pretty excited to have it here, and it's very different from most Floss trees in that it's kind of grows very graciously and with a lot of movement to it rather than a single heavy trunk. Now, if you'd like to follow me, we're going to go take a look at the Kapnick Caribbean garden.